And we're live. What's going on, everybody? RE Solutions here with our weekly Tidbit Thursday. And today we're going to be talking about some property management and rental stuff. This is actually the rental month. So, the whole month of April, we'll be talking about uh, everything and anything rental and property management. So, today we're going to talk about the 8 advantages of hiring a property management company. So, stay tuned for that. They wanted me to do the explosion.
We just had to use it.
So
I mean, it looks so cool.
we haven't used it at all. So
Anyway,
go ahead.
People are going to think today is a total plug, for RE Solutions, and they'd be right.
Yeah. You know what? But we're not going to just plug RE Solutions. We're just going to say property management companies, okay? Like we are. So, so for those of you who don't know us, we are RE Solutions. We are a residential real estate and property management company who loves to educate and help people find solutions for all of their real estate needs. It's starting to flow, right? So we do that by doing this Tidbit Thursday every Thursday, obviously. And on Tidbit Thursday, we talk everything and anything real estate. And we also do some other seminars, which we'll talk about later on, trying to help and educate individuals all over San Antonio. And of course, living in San Antonio, we like to do some additional videos of working, playing, and living in San Antonio. We haven't done nothing in a while, but
we haven't done any Fiesta activity.
yeah, and actually we need to go do Fiesta.
Yeah, that's a major event in
Yes.
San Antonio. That's a big deal.
It's on till the 11th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we need to go out there and do a video or something of
Something. Just
I
some
just
of the
want
events.
some street tacos and some corn in a cup. That's
okay.
I don't know. I got to get some of that famous San Antonio margarita personally.
So anyway, yes. Obviously we do. You threw me off. Obviously we do all this stuff. So please make sure you follow and like us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and our YouTube channel, so that you can see more of us and more of our content. So today, once again, we're talking about eight advantages of using a property management company, right?
It's so important we have notes.
Yeah, we have notes. So the first one is going to be...
First one is the advantage of using a property management is higher quality tenants. You're not just accidentally putting anybody into your property just because you feel something nice about them, right? There's always something about validating and verifying. So it's a very complex process. The idea that we use a third-party company to actually check background stats, find out employment, find out criminal investigation into the background. We need to make sure that the individuals haven't been evicted from any other properties. We look into if there's any felonies, a long list of things that we all throw together to come in to one good solution to determine if these individuals are the best fit for the property and the owner.
And really, it comes down to trying to make sure they're going to pay rent on time, that they're not going to destroy your property, and that you'll have fewer problems. It should just kind of be hopefully a move in,
Right.
Maybe some basic maintenance, but then, rent's paid on time and the property's left nice when they do finally decide to move out.
So we've all been in business doing property management for, at least in the business world of property management for almost 13 years collectively.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Well, more than that, but go ahead.
but there's enough experience there to kind of tell some of the little telltale signs when initially trying to find that right tenant from the get-go, where if you're managing it on your own, you still have a life and a job to do and to put time aside to try to find this just right tenant.
Right. Well, those single owners, they may deal with screening a tenant, once a year or so. And I won't say we, but a property management company screens multiple tenants every week or every month or whatever.
You can
And-
say we.
yeah, and you start learning some of the things, obviously, because even though it is a 6-point process that we use to screen our tenants, you're not going to know or get all the information just from the paperwork, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a credit background check, and you're going to have to look at that stuff. But if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, and that only comes by experience, if you're going to see a 600 credit score and you're going to be like, oh, they're great, let's put them in. But if you look a little further in their credit history, you may see that they weren't paying their major bills.
Mm-hmm.
They just have a good credit score because they were paying their little stuff, kind of thing. So it does come from experience, I think.
Yeah.
So
Because I remember one time I was working with a rental client. They had 600 credit score, but then when they pulled their rental history, they had 3 broken leases, evictions in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So, and they owed like over $10,000. So that just goes with their history, you
Right.
know? So it looked like they were changing their ways, but
Who knows?
I was like, no, now you have to pay all that off or wait a little bit and show that you're paying on time, because now you're a risk
Mm-hmm.
because you showed that you don't, that's the first thing you do. You don't pay your rent.
right.
Mhm.
Right.
Finding high quality tenants, I think, is like probably like top of the line for helping people because it runs right into number 2.
Number 2. So number 2 is
Good
less
job,
legal
Belinda.
problems. So when it comes to property management, it is a very litigious field in real estate. A lot of the big box brokerages don't like doing property management because of it. So normally a property management company is usually their own brokerage because they have their own E&O insurance and their own processes and procedures to do property management. They usually focus on property management specifically. Now they'll do sales and things of that nature, kind of like us. We have property management with Pompey and I normally are doing the property management, and then Belinda and Denise normally do the sales, even though Pompey jumps in there every once in a while for sales and stuff like that. But we have our own processes and procedures for property management so that we know that we are following all the laws, regulations, and codes that are required in everything as far as tenant screening, fair housing, eviction portion. If we needed to get through the eviction portion, we know exactly the processes that we need to do in order to go through JP court in order to file evictions and things of that nature. So there's a lot of little nuances, I guess, in property management that a regular real estate agent just does not know.
Yes.
So a regular real estate agent can list your property for rent. But are they going to be able to run that credit check at the beginning, going back to number 1, and actually picking a good high quality tenant when they don't really have the experience of doing that? And 2, if there's any legal problems, are they going to be able to know what they need to do?
And
So-
even in screening, we've heard listing agents say, oh, they're asking me this, and this. And we're like, that's illegal for them to ask these
Right.
specific questions, regarding familial status and marital status. And like, no, you
Yeah.
are breaking so many laws. And big hot topics are service dogs and emotional support. So they usually just don't know. They assume like, oh, the owner can make any decision they want, not when they're renting a house out.
Exactly.
They have to be careful, and you need to know the
And,
laws.
I was going to say these laws don't stay stagnant. So it's not like you can
Mhm.
learn the laws and then just go, I think I know them. They're always changing and updating and, adapting to what the needs are of our community. So that's something that
And
property
that's-
management companies stay on top of.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's where other networking events for property management companies come to play. So like NARPM, which is the National Association of Residential Property Managers, that's a group of individuals that always stays on top of all the legal issues. And obviously we have a NARPM chapter here in San Antonio in which we go and we learn from them We also have the property management committee meeting, a committee in Sabor, which is another venue in which property managers get together and we discuss all the issues that may be happening in property management, plus the laws and stuff like that. So,
So the abridged version is we keep Johnny Lawman off your back.
yes, basically.
Which leads us to shorter periods of vacancy, which means if we pick the high quality tenant and we're ensuring that we're doing everything legally and responsibly, the gaps in your tenancy should be less. These individuals will stay for 1, 2, or more years in your property. And as that individual is deciding to leave your property, we can start the process immediately because this is all we do. We do not have other jobs in that essence of we have to go to a 9 to 5 in some other facet. All we do is property management and real estate sales. So we have that opportunity and that time to ensure that your property gets prepped and ready on the market and a new tenant in it in the shortest amount of space that we possibly can.
That was quick.
And it's comprehensive because putting a house, you just don't put a house on the market and say, okay,
We're done.
we're
Right.
waiting.
Mhm.
You know, for us, we are actively looking for people to put in your property. We're talking to people. We will recommend how much to price your property. If there's something, if people are giving us feedback about things of the property, then we may say, hey, you may want to paint this time, or you may want to replace carpet this time. So that way we can get your property rented as quickly as possible according to the needs of the property.
Right. And that leads into number 4 here, which it causes longer term tenants because now you have a point of contact, or the tenants have a point of contact that's solely responsible for the management of the property, right? So it's kind of hard when you're managing your own property and your tenant has a need and you're working your 9 to 5 job. You can't just stop what you're doing to address any issues that you may have at your rental property. So it's different when there's a property management company that can address those issues whenever.
Yeah.
It could be during normal business hours, it could be on weekends, it could be during holidays, whatever. There's no break for the property management company, right? If you are a solo owner and you're trying to manage your own property, and you go on vacation and something happens on your property, who's going to be taking care of that? So that just leads me to saying, as far as the longer term tenants, that makes a happier tenant because they have somebody that's actually taking care of the property for them. And since the tenants are happy, they rather stay in the property longer because it's easier for them to just renew a lease than just up and move, right? So
That's true.
Yep.
Especially right now.
With
Yeah,
rates
exactly.
going up, people are like, I'll stay right here. Thank you.
yes.
And you've got to take into that consideration that long-term tenant, knowing that they have somebody to go to, it makes them feel happier, like you were referencing. It makes them feel happier about being in the property, staying in the property, because somebody is going to be able to assist them and guide them. But it leads that part of that happiness is making sure that they have efficient methods of being able to put a work order in for repairs, or for the next one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, pay
No.
rent.
Yes.
There you go. I was like,
Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, go
It's
ahead.
not on here.
Go. Gotcha. I was waiting for the cool little thing
Yeah.
to slide up. But yes, more efficient rent collection. You want to make sure that once again, we're always going to revert back to that 9 to 5. You have a 9 to 5 job, you have a family, or you have 2 jobs and you're single. It really doesn't matter. The whole idea is that somebody else is there and available for you to ensure rent collection, repair of the property. And if the rent can't be collected for whatever reason, then you have somebody that can immediately contact that tenant and try to find out why. What's the reason behind it? And a sob story doesn't work on us because this is what we do for a living.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, and they're telling you this nice long sob story about how their third cousin has died for the second time in the last year. It's you start to kind of like, didn't that happen already?
Yeah.
Like, no, I believe you still owe this rent. You know, if you're not capable of paying the rent, then we're able to start eviction immediately. And the fact that they know that we are familiar or professionals in our profession, they know we're not going to mess around, and that paperwork is going to come immediately. And that can be the difference of somebody making sure to pay on time versus trying to come up with an excuse.
Right.
And I gotta say too, I gotta put out there because I know it's very black and white at times, but it's not that property management or owners can't work with tenants who've come across hard times, because that absolutely happened, especially at the beginning of COVID when people
Right.
were forced to go home and not work. People had to join hands and figure out a solution.
Right.
So, I mean, it is there, but we've had families come to us and say, hey, I'm going to rent my home to my brother, but could you please manage it for me? Because I want a third party to collect that money and I don't want to have to worry about getting upset with my brother or my
Yes.
brother getting upset with me because I'm not going to be flexible and let him have a month off. And it keeps family happy.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps
It
friends
keep-
friends. And
It keeps that relationship intact
Right.
because
Yes.
there is a third party to stand in the way and say, no, it's got to be done this way.
And it's not only just rent collection, obviously, it's tracking all the finances
Mhm.
in that property, right? So your rent collections, your bills for any maintenance that you've done. So you want to be able to have a financial spreadsheet or list of things that have
Mhm.
been done on that property, so that you can file your taxes at the end of the year or budget for the next year and things
Mhm.
of that nature. So a property management company is going to take care of all the financial tracking of your property.
All the burdens, the financial burdens of taking
we're
care
not
of
paying for
tracking
you.
it. No, we're not paying it.
And it is my experience that people who are looking for rental by owners is because they cannot go through a traditional property
Yes.
management company. So please, if you're an owner, beware, because these folks, as nice as they are, they either don't have the credit score,
They don't
or
make enough
something
money.
happened and now they're looking for a place to live, and now they're looking at for rent by owners, hoping that somebody's going to give them a chance. And so
And it's not a bad thing.
It's not a
I
bad
wanna
thing,
say that.
right.
It's not a bad thing. It's
Yes.
just, you know, you need to really be aware.
yes,
They're
and
definitely-
take precautions.
They're definitely
Right.
hoping for that leniency, though.
Yes.
Right,
That
exactly.
your property management company wouldn't have for them.
yes.
Well, I've told clients before too, traditionally in the past for rent by owners, there's less red tape, you know,
Yeah.
because it costs money to run background checks and
Yeah.
credit checks.
Yes.
So sometimes there is, but there are starting to become more apps out there for rent by owners to use a basic background and credit
Mhm.
check. Again, you're not getting the full picture. So just
Mhm.
be prepared, be aware.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you are going to work with somebody who has a little history, there's little things that you can do to kind of try to protect yourself. So you just want to know those kind of
Like
things
hiring a
going.
property
You want to know,
management
yeah.
So number 6 is lower maintenance costs. So this basically comes in play when since a property management company has their own vendors, not necessarily that the vendors work directly for the property management company. They're still independent contractors. They're vendors on their own. They could have their own business. And there are some property management companies that have their own maintenance division and stuff like that. But most property management companies subcontract that out to vendors. The reason it's lower maintenance costs is because we give them a lot of work, right?
Mhm.
If a single owner had a plumbing issue and they called out a plumber, that plumber is going to go out there and charge them regular charge. It's going to be a regular charge, right? Because it's only one job that they're doing. Now, for a property management company, we can probably send that plumber to 5-6 different jobs in 1 week. So they usually lower the cost for us in order for us to
Send them more work.
send them
Mhm.
more work, and that cost obviously gets given to the owner, right? Because
Just passed
as
down.
far as us, we don't charge an additional fee for
Mhm.
maintenance. We don't upcharge any invoices that any of our vendors come out. Some property management companies do. Some property management companies will tag on another 5 or 10% on top of the invoice just for the coordination of maintenance. But that, that's dependent on the property management company, and you would discuss that with them before you even sign any contract with them. But that's where the lower maintenance costs. Now, in today's day, obviously all maintenance is going up.
Yes.
Inflation.
Yes, just because material is
Yeah.
going up, the cost of material is going up, the lack of workers, obviously.
Mhm.
So meaning that right now we have a vendor that had a crew pre-COVID, had a crew of like 8 individuals, and now they're down to 4 individuals. So 4 individuals trying to do all that work is a lot. So obviously their prices have gone up. Let's not talk about gas. That has gone up too. So
I'm like, everything is, it's a domino effect,
Right.
honestly.
Yes.
And
so yeah, and a lot of, and granted, I'm the same way. Sometimes I get invoices or quotes from vendors, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, that's way too much." Which is another advantage as a
I was
property
gonna say
management company,
Yes.
right? Because we see prices all the
Yes.
time, and we're like, "Oh no, this is too much,"
Yes.
and we can talk to the vendor and work some stuff out. But yeah, normally if I get a quote and I'm like, "Oh no, that's crazy," I'm gonna talk to that vendor and let him know, "Hey, what can we do to lower this cost a little bit? Does it have to be a high dollar faucet?
Mhm.
Does it, it's a rental. Can we get something that's equal quality of what's in there and stuff? Can you
Generic.
actually go to Home Depot or Lowe's and see what's on sale and then give me a price instead of trying to make a price and stuff like that?" But we also know that these individuals, this is what they do for a living, right? This is how they pay their bills. So we can't undercut them
Right.
too much, but we can actually see the range as far as what prices should be.
And I was gonna say that exact same thing because in the past I've, Pete had the unfortunate task to actually fire vendors who, they started out at this price and then all of a sudden a year later they're charging, double what they used to charge when they first started.
Right.
Because we say they got too big for their britches, so yes, that's what I like. And I do it with my sales when I'm working with my sellers. I'm like, let me check with my team to see if, what we can do to help. And so, yeah, they see these prices all day long, every day. They can kind of shoot out prices, but of course they're like, well, it just depends on,
Yeah.
So
And we're still kind of small, right? As far as a property management company, we're being selective on the people that we're signing up, which gives us a lot more flexibility. So, for example, we have an owner that has 5 properties with us, and he was getting maintenance stuff all the time. And then one maintenance thing popped up for a faucet, and I looked at the quote and I was like, well, I'm not paying that. I'm not making the owner pay that. So Pumpy and I actually went to Home Depot ourselves. We went and bought the faucet and then went to the property and replaced it ourselves. Obviously, we charged the owner a little bit more for our time in going out there,
But it was still
way
less.
way less than what the vendor was going to charge them, right? So there's times that we can actually go out there and take care of I've done it for a fence. There was a picket on a gate that was broken. So I went to Home Depot and I bought a picket and I went out there and nailed that picket in and it was done. And saving money on the owner because truly, for us, don't get me wrong, we like to make money, but we're doing this as a service, right? And we want to take care of the owner because we know that if the owners and tenants, if they like us and trust us, they're going to refer more people to us.
Correct.
So we're trying to give you a better service in the things. And if we have to get you a vendor out there, we're trying to save you some money somehow. So
So all that boils down to, if you had a 9 to 5, would you have time to do?
yeah,
everything?
exactly.
Yes.
It's just not feasible. And yes,
Especially when
it
you
can be
start.
done, but you're not going to be getting the same quality tenant. You're not going to be getting that quality house, or your house won't be maintained, which leads us into that increasing value of your rental property.
Mhm.
Because everything that Pete was referencing with all of these repairs, how can you make all of these appropriate repairs or get them coordinated, collect the rent, and make sure that your tenants are happy with everything that's the process and everything that's going on at the property, if you have another job to take care of on top of this, right? So we're able to do preventative maintenance, or at least keep preventative maintenance on our forefront. So we have several owners that are investors and don't even live in San Antonio. Well, they're not going to be aware when a hailstorm hits, so we're able to say, hey, a hailstorm hit in that general area of that property. Let's send a roofer out to get a free estimate to see if anything needs repaired at that property, and send that back to the owner. That way, at any given point in time, the owner knows the property's taken care of, and at a later time, if he or she wants to sell the property, they won't have to be concerned with major repairs having to be done to the property right before sales.
There's also property management companies a lot of times will do a walkthrough somewhere in the time of that first year lease, and not only are they making sure tenants are maintaining the property, but this is a good time for that normal wear and tear to be brought back to the owner of, hey, it looks like the trim outside has started to deteriorate.
Yeah.
That's not a tenant responsibility,
Mhm.
but knowing that gives you the opportunity to start preparing to work on some of those regular maintenance things that help you maintain the value of your property.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, because we all own rentals,
Mhm.
So
we've got some skin in the
yeah.
game. We know.
So we know. So like for us, our house was built in 2008. So we know, we're like, okay, it's 13 years old.
Yeah.
So we already replaced
The
a
water
water
heater.
heater.
Yeah.
We know the HVAC is going to have to be replaced soon, and not, knock on wood, not yet, but we know these things are going to have to be replaced. So we're prepared for that. Again, if we want to sell the home, you're an owner. I've done this many, many times. I will sell an owner's home who had it rented, and I know what's going to come back on their repair request. So, hey, what trim needs to be painted? You want to do that now? You want to start preparing in between? So that is what a good property manager will do for you, is make sure that you're being told, like, hey, these are little things that you want to do along while you have the house. So that way, when you do want to sell it, it's not a big sticker shock,
And a lot of it goes with life expectancy of items in the property as well, right? Because a lot of owners don't think of the life expectancies of items, because we can call an owner because their hot water heater went out, and they'll be like, well, it's been working for 13 years. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
the life expectancy is between 10 and 15. Well, no, 10 and 12. So yeah, 13 years, you actually got one more year out of it.
An extra year.
Yeah, so a lot of owners don't think about that, but property management companies do, right? So when we go into a property and we see the carpet, we ask, how long has this carpet been here? Is this original carpet? It may look great. That's fine, but is it original carpet? Because a life expectancy for a carpet is usually 8 years. So that's like 2 tenancies, right? But we want to tell the owner, hey, in 4 more years or 6 more years, you may have to replace this carpet. So you may want to start putting money away so that you can have that money to replace the carpet. Because even though tenants are living in there, normal wear and tear on the carpet cannot be charged to the tenant, right? Unless they put a big stain in it, or they rip it, or even when that happens, though, the only area that you can replace is that area that they messed up. You can't charge them for complete
the entire house.
Yeah, complete removal and replacement of a carpet. So, but things like that, carpet, paint actually has life expectancies. All that stuff helps at least maintain the value of your property by knowing that stuff, and then you saving up that money so that you can get that stuff done.
In a timely
Yeah.
manner.
Yeah.
You know, just, and it's kind of like if you were living at the home, you know, you would service your HVAC because it's part of homeowners and home maintenance.
Right.
But, you know, sometimes when you're out of sight and out of mind, you don't think about these things. And it's nice to be able to have somebody go, oh, yeah, by the way, house is looking good. Trim's starting to look a little bit flaked, and it's
Yep.
about time to service your AC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that leads us to the final point of advantages of hiring a property management company is personal benefits. So basically, it's a little bit less stress
It is.
on you.
Yes.
Not completely, but it's less stress on you, more freedom for you, and more free time, obviously. So the example I would like to give is if you get a phone call at 2 a.m. because your rental property, there's a sewage backup at 2 a.m. and you have an upset tenant now because there's sewage all over their bathroom or wherever. That's going to be a stressful situation for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the person that you're going to call? Do you have a vendor that you can call right away that's going to go out there at 3 or 4 a.m. to at least take care of the issue for now until they can come out during daylight hours to actually fix the issue? These are things that property management companies do, right? So that situation obviously happened to me. We had an emergency call at 2 a.m. And even me, that has a list of vendors, had to call several vendors in order to get someone out there at that time because the other vendors that we had weren't available either. Or they weren't answering because it was
2
2 in the
2 in the
morning.
morning, right? So I finally found a vendor that was able to go out there. They went out there at 4 a.m, stopped what was happening at that time, and then they went out there at 7 a.m. to actually go ahead and actually repair the sewage backup. But things like that, HVAC, in the middle of the summer in San Antonio,
Summer.
if the HVAC goes out, it is very uncomfortable in a house. It's probably easier just to stay outside in the shade than be in your house if it's not working, right? Even though San Antonio or Texas doesn't consider HVAC an emergency maintenance, we know that because of the heat here, a property management company is going to try to send somebody out as quickly as possible. Now, you have to be the type of individual that needs to calm down the tenant, right? Because they're going to be upset.
Yes.
Their AC is out and they want somebody out there immediately. Now, 9 times out of 10, when we're working with our vendors, we can get somebody out there the same day and get it resolved. But if they're calling at 8 o'clock at night and there's no AC and it's been 90 degrees, upwards of 90 degrees all day, and their house is already hot, a vendor probably is not going to go out at 9 o'clock at night to go look at an AC. It's very rare that you're going to find a vendor to do that, an HVAC company to do that. So they're going to go the next day. So you have to actually deal with the tenant and let them know that, somebody's going to be out there as soon as possible. Unfortunately, we can't go out there. Now, if there's a different issue, and say HVAC and that system's going to be down for a couple days, well, what are you going to do then? So for us, we will actually go out there and put a window unit, some type of temporary unit or something that we can provide them some cool air until it gets fixed. But those are the things that we have to deal with all the time. Is that something that you want to do as a property owner? And that's where the less stress comes. And I say less stress because you're going to get stressed, because I'm going to call you as a property manager and say, hey, your HVAC is gone. It's going to be $5,000. And if you have not saved those $5,000,
you're going to feel some stress.
You're going to, you're going to have to find a place to get $5,000 to repair or replace the unit or whatever it may be, because you have a living person, a human being living in your property, and you are supposed to provide them a safe and healthy environment per point number 2, which is the legal
The
Yes,
Texas
you
code.
legal
Yes.
process of property management. So
And these are things that we've thought out. We have these processes and procedures. So we
Mhm.
have the extra window units. We have extra things we already know because we've experienced it. You know, you as an owner, single owner, you just a lot of times, you know, you don't know. You haven't experienced it. You rent out the home and then things happen. And then you're like, oh, you're reacting
Mhm.
now to where we're kind of having the preventative stuff. We know. And if somebody calls us at 2 in the morning, yes, sucks getting out of our bed at 2 in the morning. Not me, Peter Pompey, to get out of bed at 2, 3 in the morning. But it's like, okay, we have a solution,
yes.
and the tenant might still be upset, but at least we could say, hey, this is what it's gonna have to happen until, you know,
And
as
that's the part that the owner doesn't have to worry about.
Yes.
They don't have to worry about the yelling and the phone and
yes.
and I pay my rent on time.
Yes.
And
That-
fix this
But you know what?
yesterday.
And even though sometimes tenants are really upset, you know, they're upset at the situation,
Right.
right? And some people take it personally, and basically, a new property manager will take everything personally for the first few months up to a year, and until they start realizing that they're not upset at you, they're upset at the situation, even though it may seem
Mhm.
like they're upset at you. And you know, they may be upset at you depending on the information you're giving them and stuff like that. But most of the times it's just a situation, right? So learning how to deal with that is one of the biggest biggest things in property management and stuff. So
That's
but-
why P won't let me be a property manager.
no, I keep telling her she would be a good property manager, but she doesn't want to do it. But anyway, so these are the 8 advantages for hiring a property manager. But we actually hold a seminar
Mhm.
called Landlord 101. And Landlord 101 is basically a seminar teaching you how to manage your own properties, because we don't want individuals to be in front of a court or in front of a judge, right?
Johnny Lawman, keep
Yeah.
him away.
We don't want. So we teach Landlord 101, in which we talk about just key issues of managing your own property and key issues as far as fair housing and Texas property code and a Texas lease or just a regular lease agreement and how to follow those things. So we normally hold the Landlord 101 on the third Saturday of every month. But this time we're doing it, this month we're doing it virtually.
Yes.
And we're actually doing it on a
Weekday.
weekday,
Yeah,
on a
Thursday.
Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So next Thursday, is it next Thursday?
I believe
Think
so.
so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So next Thursday at 10 a.m., we will be doing Landlord 101,
Mhm.
and which will teach you all the things that you should look out for while you're managing your own property and
Yes.
stuff like that. So just look at the description below. There will be a link for that if you want to register and get on there and learn some more stuff. So
Okay.
anything else?
That is it.
That's it.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity and time to listen to us and reach out to us. Our phone number and contact information is all below, and we'd love to assist you in managing your rental property.
Yes.
All right. Well, y'all take care. We'll see you next week.
Next Thursday. Bye.